Barack Obama gave major feedback on the Leave the World Behind script. I watched this movie last night. I finished it at 12:30. And very weird movie. A dark movie, okay? Barack Obama, the former U.S. president, has expanded his post-presidential activities by offering input on Sam Ishmael's script for Leave the World Behind, a Netflix movie. Ishmael sought Barack Obama's perspective to enhance the script's realism. And by the way, very weird that the fact that they say this, because you'll hear some of the stuff that's said in this movie. Ishmael recounted Obama's response saying, I am writing what I think is fiction for the most part. I'm trying to keep it as true to life as possible, but I'm exaggerating and dramatizing. And to hear an ex-president say you're off by a few details, I thought I was off by a lot. The fact that he said scared the F out of me. And as executive producers of Leave the World Behind, Barack and Michelle Obama provided valuable feedback on character development and empathy, emphasizing their passion for the book and their desire for a compelling cinematic adaptation. Vinny.
All right, so mind you guys, we're going to go on a little journey because I watched it. What?
Before you do,
Yeah.
just I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, okay.
Tom, have you seen it?
Okay.
I have not.
Set the
Okay,
tone.
you
Pull up the plot. Pull
What
up
is
the plot.
it?
Pull up the plot,
and then
I'll
get
show
into
you.
your
So,
feedback.
spoiler alert, because
Yeah.
we're going to give away them. If you want to watch the movie, don't listen to any of this.
So once upon a time.
So basically, it's Julia Roberts, Marshall Ali, Ethan Hawke. So it's basically a film about a cyber attack by hackers on America. They also sent drones go by, and they're dropping thousands. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of flyers with a snake photo that says "Death to America." Okay, on one side of the coast. On the other side of the coast, they had the same drones, but they were dropping stuff in Chinese and just from different countries, so you don't know where it's coming from, right? It was an all-out attack using something that they called a three-stage maneuver to topple the government from within that ended with bombs dropping on cities, on the White House, and they had radiation. So the three-stage maneuver is isolation. They disable all communications and transportation, making people deaf, dumb, and paralyzed. Number two was synchronized chaos. Terror with covert attacks and disinformation with no clear enemy. Nobody knows who the hell it's coming from. And then the third stage is the coup d'etat, civil war, and collapse.
But the key is, it says third stage happens on its own. You don't need to do anything.
You don't do it.
So its first phase is isolation, then it's synchronized chaos, which means it's intentional. But the third stage, you don't do anything. It's civil war and collapse. This program was known as the most cost-effective way to destabilize a country.
Yeah, dude.
That's what they said in the movie, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the actor.
Marshall Ali?
He's the one that says it.
Oh, yeah. He says a lot of crazy stuff.
Because tell him why he knew this stuff, because his friend, he kept saying.
He had so in the car, dude, I got goosebumps right now. There's a scene where he's looking at Ethan Hawke and he's like, listen, I have a very powerful friend. We always joke around. He always says that he goes to meet with these elites and they tell him this type of stuff and it's a cabal and it's evil. And dude, he gets quiet and he goes, this last time he didn't respond. He's his money manager. He goes, he didn't respond and they were leaving because they know they have a heads up that this stuff is coming down the pipe. So I'm watching this, Pat, and then I'm like, wait, Barack, why would an ex-president and his wife produce something like this as if they know something is happening, right? And he played, what you said, he played a key role in the film. He was hands-on the entire film. Sam Ismail, the guy, the director, said that he was there giving him real-world feedback. So when this guy was doing stuff, Barack was like, no, that's not how this would play out. Trust me, this is how it would play out. Also, just a little detour. They had some backlash for what he did. They said in the movie about white people. There's a scene where Marshall Ali's laying in bed with his daughter because they're staying in the basement of this house. And he said, and this is what the daughter says, and I quote, I'm asking you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people. So that's in there. By the way, there's another quote in the movie. Ready for this? A conspiracy theory.
By the way, stay on that. Stay on that, because it says, if something happens to the world, we shouldn't trust white people.
Yeah.
That's something I know you and mom would agree with me. Quote.
End quote.
The girl says that to the dad while they're in bed together. This girl's probably 22 years old.
Yeah.
If something happens to the world, we shouldn't trust white people. That's something I know you and mom would agree with me. Keep going.
So this is layered. Mind you, Pat, there's also a bunch of...
Like, why would you put that in a...
Random.
And the entire time, Julia Roberts plays this angry white girl who's in sales and advertising, and the girl asks her, why are you so angry all the time? She says, because if you know what I know on a daily basis, I lie for a living, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing sales, and I'm meeting with people and marketing. I'm sitting there saying, dude, You literally have been lying for a living. You're an actress. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Your job is to act.
Is
Okay,
bull-
so you're
We
talking
saw
about,
you in Pretty Woman,
Yeah.
young lady.
Go.
Okay.
That wasn't acting though, but go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. She was hot. But so this is a quote from the movie. A conspiracy theory about a shadow group of people running the world is far too lazy of an explanation, especially when the truth is far scarier. No one is in control. No one is pulling the strings. An event like this happens the best. Even the most powerful people can hope for a heads up. Now, Pat, this movie, besides having the cultist stuff, the son was wearing an Obey shirt. The daughter had a NASA shirt. In the title, you could see that there's a BAAL in it. There's a scene in the movie. I'm not being that guy. It is what it is. There's a 666 in a triangle. This is called predictive programming. And let me explain something to you. Do you remember we saw that video of the Iranian lawmakers chanting "Death to America"? Then Tucker Carlson on his show, Pat, had he said about the EMP attack that's going to come if we get into a war with Iran. And Rob, can you get this video ready, bro? Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, that demon, all right? He's predicting a cyber attack. He said, and I quote, "The COVID-19 crisis, with respect, would be seen as a small disturbance in comparison." This is him warning us. Listen to this.
Pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
Okay, guess what, Pat? And I'm almost done. The predictive programming, they're letting you know it's coming. Like the movie Contagion with COVID-19, the girl went to Hong Kong. It's like, how do they know? And people always ask, why do the elites always let us know what's coming down the pike? Right? They tell you through movies, through music, what they're going to do. It's called, and you guys can look this up, the revelation of the method. They do this to avoid bad karma. I mean, who would have thought, evil would have, morals? They put their true intentions out there so nobody could accuse them of not warning us of things to come. All right? It's like when you hear Bill Gates talking about depopulating the earth, he does it. And they believe that when they tell us this, they will not face consequences. In 1981, I dug a little deep, Pat. In 1981, the CIA director, William Casey, said to Ronald Reagan in the West Wing, and there's a bunch of people that said he said this, he said, and I quote, "We will know our disinformation is complete when everything the American public believes is false." This was an American spy, CIA guy. And it's not like, Pat, when I talk about this type of stuff, guys, that it's not true. This movie came out last week. Guess what happened yesterday? A massive cyber attack in the United States by China for our infrastructure. They hit Hawaii's water utility systems. They hit an oil and gas pipeline, and they tried to take down the electrical grid in Texas. And yesterday, Rumble was attacked. Rumble got cyber attacked yesterday. And just a side note, Pat, since I'm in this world of people and evil and all this type of stuff, did you see what happened at the Iowa Capitol building yesterday? These are the type of people that take down Thomas Jefferson statue, but they had a satanic demon displayed up there. Rob, can you show that? They have a satanic demo in. Pat, I'm talking about candles.
Yes.
Demon. Keep going down, Rob. This is actually it. Scroll to the bottom. They're not even hiding anymore, guys. Keep going. Keep going down, Rob. It's not there. Keep going.
Story continues. Press story continue right there and go.
So, and I'll get to it. So, and it's not as if we come up with this type of stuff and they're lying. This is on display at the Iowa Capitol State Building. It's the Satanic Church, and they're saying, "Listen, we have rights too. We could do it."
Yeah, that's the goat. There's owls and goats.
And look at the pentagram on his chest. So when we talk about this type of stuff, I always question, Tom. I always question myself. I'm like, why would they show it to us? Why did they do it? This is out in the open. They're not hiding. They're giving us a heads up before it comes out, and it happened yesterday. So that I wouldn't be surprised if that's the next.
I got to tell you this. For me, the movie, as dumb as it was, okay, I couldn't stand the movie. It's so
boring, horrible,
terrible. The music is eerie. The behavior of her and the guy, marriage, the white guy and the daughter, the stuff that they're presenting like it's normal behavior, and the line, conspiracy theory of some shadow organization running the world is not true. A line set in the movie that a former president was involved in the script. No one controls the strings. They're saying this in the movie. Are you supposed to believe that? Do you actually believe no one controls the strings? Rob, run a poll asking, do you believe anyone controls the strings? Yes or no? Then, a few other things. Microwave weapons that cause radiation. This happened in Cuba. Kevin Bacon says it. There's a scene in a movie where he says, cash may not mean much when the government falls. But by the way, even though that's a line in a movie, that is true, though. Cash may not mean much when the government falls.
Of course.
You have to be aware that there is some credibility to that statement. And another line when the kid says it, when the father says it, I can barely do anything without my cell phone and GPS. I am a useless man without my cell phone, says in the movie. Let me read it again. I can barely do anything without my cell phone and GPS. I'm a useless man without my cell phone. And there's a bunch of other things. We made a lot of enemies around the world. Maybe what this means is they all teamed up against us. Kevin Bacon is saying it to both of the guys that they're talking to.
So that's an anti-America globalism message.
Tom, this was a pure anti-America. We caused this. This is the reason why this is taking place. It is a movie to trash America. It is a movie to manipulate people watching. It is a movie to get people thinking and believing. But if there's one thing that I did believe when it was done, you know, there's different torture methods. One of the torture methods when they put you in jail is this screeching sound that they make that stays on for a couple days that you can't go to sleep.
Oh my God!
You know that sound. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It hurts your ears. Yeah, they did. Yes.
And no matter what you do, it's so loud. So you can't.
It's
sleep.
like worse than a baby crying in your ear.
Oh, it's Adam, 10 times worse.
The kid. Go ahead, Pat. Go ahead.
In the movie, they do this to the entire state, to the entire town, and everybody hears it. And everybody collapses. There's even a scene where Julia Roberts chasing after her daughter to find her. The pain is so bad she falls to her knees. So the pain was so excruciating that she couldn't even chase after her daughter to find her.
It cripples you.
It cripples you.
And one of the bad reactions of that radiation, that signal, the son's teeth just start falling out. So they're looking for a doctor. That's why they go to Kevin Bacon. And then they said, I wrote this somewhere, Pat. The political coup d'état, which is afoot. They say, which is why the people in positions of power are letting a civil war take root by disrupting technology and feeding disinformation. And you said that third stage, it happens on its own. So everything, all this stuff, it's just weird. Klaus Schwab, it's throughout the history, they warn us, God, Rock, I know they warn us what's coming, Pat, because apparently in their religion, Rob, we talked about this before, they have to give you a heads up as it's coming down the pike, which is weird. What were you going to say, Rob?
No,
there's a very interesting episode. There was a TV show called The X-Files. Do you guys remember that show from the 90s?
Yes.
David Duchovny.
Did you ever hear of the spin-off show, The Lone Gunman?
No.
Okay, there was a TV show that Fox produced in 2001. It was going to be a spin-off of some of the people that fed Mulder and Scully information about the X-Files.
Yep.
The pilot episode aired March 4th of 2001. So this is
22 years ago.
7 months before 9/11.
Wow.
The entire episode predicted that the government would use a controlled drone airplane to fly into the World Trade Center then launch. I swear to God, to launch a war in the Middle East. So I have it up here, the X-Files. But
I told you,
March 4th of 2001 that comes out, and then 6 months later, 9/11. Literally, planes fly into the World Trade Centers, and then we go to war with the Middle East.
Am I crazy to say what I say when I'm telling you it's called predictive programming? They let you know what's coming, and then when it happens, we have these moments where we go, wait, what? Weird.
But here's a question, though. Here's a question.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom. You remember the only guy we ever brought on the podcast twice in the same month was a guy named Peter Pry.
Peter Pry,
and he died afterwards.
Yeah.
Weird.
He literally died afterwards.
He was the electromagnetic pulse guy. Yeah.
He was the guy that knew the most about EMPs.
Yeah.
We bring him on, he talks about the fact that everybody should own a nuclear
underground
bunker.
Yeah. He was sort of a doomsday prepper type.
I believe it, dude.
But I tell you what, the level of qualification of what this guy had in his background when he spoke, you listened. He was that interesting.
You were
Tom,
fascinated, Pat.
I think you wanted to say something, Tom. Go for it.
No, what I was looking at here is remember, there's none of this is surprising to me because this is all the PSYOP stuff, and it's real. PSYOPs is real. You also can just go look at. We talk about it in our political discourse. They say is accuse the other side of doing exactly what you are doing now. Right? It's like, oh, it's such as the liberals were accusing Republicans of using redlining and redistricting to manipulate elections. You're manipulating elections through redlining, redistricting, and denying people the right to vote by creating obstacles in the form of identification and other things that are designed to do this. So all those come out. And then now we find out that, ballot harvesting, we've got videos of ballots being brought in, in suitcases and buckets. It's real. Did it alter the whole election? Who knows? Was there fraud involved? Of course. So it's accuse the other side, which you're exactly doing now. And also, you also...
I think that's called the Hegelian dialectic, I want to say.
Yeah. Whoa.
Don't ask me how I know that.
Holy crap.
But
very good.
That's...
Oh, wow.
Stay in school, kids.
Adam has just got a conflagration.
Am I right on that one, though, Pat?
I'm very impressed.
Tom,
hang on,
Tom,
Adam.
So.
I want to know your point, Tom. I'm waiting.
So the point is here is this all comes out to prime the populace. That is the whole purpose of it. When you look at Operation Mockingbird and all these things in PSYOPs, what you have to do is you have to make it not surprising. It says, and also put yourself in a position where you're offensive, not defensive. So that's how you prime the pump by letting people know, saying things out there so they're not as surprised, number one. And then number two, the PSYOP, what we're just talking about elections, accuse the other side what you're going to do. And when you do all this, the populace is somewhat numbed and somewhat incapacitated.
And can I say something to you? When I mean, I don't know how many times I've said this on this podcast. How much more shit is China gonna do? Because yesterday we had the cyber attack, spy balloons over the place, COVID-19, and then we just worship. Gavin Newsom brings Xi Jinping to California, and they clean the streets and they put the Chinese flag. It's like China is the
Let's stay on this.
Yeah,
Let's stay on this.
I mean,
let's actually have a very logical conversation.
Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, for those, if you're watching, it's like, oh, here we go again. Well, listen, this is not here we go again. If this movie was done by anybody, nobody would give a shit. If this movie was done by, I don't know.
Steven Spielberg.
Ridley Scott, Steven Spielberg, nobody would give a shit. Yeah, it's just another movie. I got it, like World War Z or Independence Day or whatever. No. This is the former president who's the executive producer of this movie. Like, let me put it to you this way.
Yeah.
Barack calls you. You're his friend. He says, hey, I'm thinking about investing into this movie. What is it about? It's about what America would look like if there was a cyber warfare and how we would shut down the entire system and control minds and making sure we tell them that there is nobody that controls the strings. What would you tell Obama as a friend who's trying to go into movies the first time? What would you tell him? Maybe you would say, Brock, you may want to skip this movie, bro. You may want to skip this movie and go to like a, biography about, I don't know,
Churchill?
RGB or what's her name?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG.
RBG, or do like a movie about a story of somebody, something like that. Yeah. No, you choose to do this movie as a former president. First of all, that's a little weird for me, even as an American, to tell a story like that, because the enemy is either sitting there saying, hey, man, thanks, Brock, that was fantastic, or the enemy's sitting there saying you're giving ideas, or you just scared the shit out of the populace. FYI, it was very believable. Nothing about what I watched was unbelievable. Everything about what I watched was very, very believable. That sound, the brain stimulation thing, that simulation thing that they do, believable. That whole concept about cars, electric cars, all going in the same direction because now you control the satellite and they took out the satellite, believable. The ship coming nonstop to the, what do you call it?
To the beach.
To the beach, and the kid is like, I think that ship is coming towards us. Believable. Planes losing satellite control communication, crashing in the middle of the ocean. Believable. There wasn't anything that you looked at and you said, this is unbelievable, right? So as somebody like myself who was in the military, who was Middle Eastern, and who was in the insurance space, you know what all those three have in common? Paranoia, okay? When you live in the Middle East, you're naturally what? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? What are you taught when you're in the military? If this happens, you got to do this, you got to flank this, you got to bone, you got to... Okay, what happens when you're in the insurance business? You buy insurance because God forbid you die. What if this happens? Breadwinner, this. Everything is about preparation. So as much as we're having this conversation here together, if you're married with kids, I actually would seriously encourage you to have a serious conversation with your friends and peers to see what you could do. Because there was a scene where these guys are driving around, and the one guy, Kevin Bacon, says something. He says, have you guys gone to Turnson's house, whatever the guy's name is? Have you guys gone to such and such's house? No, why? Well, I know one of my buddies, built a nuclear bunker underneath it, and he built a bunker, and, I know who did. He never wanted to show it to me, and he never confirmed it, but I know my friend built that thing. And so if there's anywhere for you guys to go, that's the place to go. And the daughter goes there accidentally. She opens the store, and she goes in, and she hits the switch. It's not even a switch like this. It's
like
a
a
switch like
charging
this.
thing,
It's
yeah.
like a generator switch. The whole thing turns on,
Plants.
and it's a nuclear place under where the glass window is a LED to show light and show sky and show this, even though you're underground.
Right.
These are some things, financial planning, health planning. This is why you do executive testing every year. Tom introduced me to that in 2008. I went to UCLA, did my executive testing. You meet with 9 doctors within 9 hours and find out everything about your body. Sounds like I probably need to go do an executive testing right now, but I did one about a year ago. Everything is about preparation for the next year. And this movie made me think about that, to be honest.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, you know me, I'm pretty skeptical about, just generic stuff like this, but I will say this. In 2015, this was actually at a NALBA type meeting back in the day. They had a guest speaker. It was Ted Koppel. Do you remember who Ted
remember
Koppel
Ted.
is?
Yeah, he used to do the ABC 11:30 special segment news show, right?
Ted Koppel, considered one of the most respected journalists of all time. Rob, you have a picture of Ted Koppel. All you got to do is hit images, buddy. Ted Koppel, Dan Rather, this type of guy. You've seen him, you know his face.
Yeah.
And at the time, this was at the height of the 2016 election, Trump, Hillary Clinton. And obviously, all the news was about build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. And he goes, I'm not so concerned about the wall. I'm concerned about the electric grid situation and cyber attacks. And this is before it became sort of, present day conversation of where we're at. It's part of the nomenclature right going on right now. But he started warning of these electric grid attacks. Okay, and nobody really had heard this type of speech, especially from respected journalists at this point. So he starts basically saying, here to go, Ted Koppel on Lights Out, a cyber attack in Nation Unprepared. This is 2015 Miami Book Fair. So it was right around the time, probably wrote a book about this. And it made me aware, holy shit, this. And he basically went into great detail
I believe this.
of what would happen. And so what my ultimate point is this. This has been pervasive in the culture for almost 8-10 years now at this point. Not far-fetched, not unbelievable, certainly something that we're hoping the military is on top of. The scariest thing is what Pat pointed out. Why did Barack Obama co-sign something like
So
this?
weird.
That's the
And
only
his quote was this: "I'm writing what I think is fiction for the most part. I'm trying to keep it as true to life as possible, but I'm exaggerating and dramatizing." So it's just interesting that he put his name behind something. Like this.
And Pat, but think about it.
I don't want to spend any more time. 30 seconds, we're moving on to the next story.
And he made a great point. There was they put it in movies and music and all that stuff. Rob said the thing about 9/11, contagion with COVID, and then, bro, do you understand how volatile our power grid is, Pat? Think about this. George Carlin talked about it. If electricity shut off here in the United States, can you imagine? Look what happens when a light, intersection light, shuts off. Nobody knows what the hell to do. Yeah. God forbid our power goes down, bro. It's a wrap.
Let's just hope that we're utilizing it to the enemy before they utilize it on us.
Guys, listen. Let me tell you what life is better off the way you live. it's not, let's just say the power grid goes out, okay? Yeah. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
I know.
I just don't know when it's going to happen. Meaning, is it going to be in 2024 during election year because they're scared shitless that Trump could actually win? Is it going to be next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? I believe it's going to happen. You best just do whatever you can to be ready for it. Some people are maybe saying, well, I don't have the kind of money. You guys got the money. And da-da-da-da. This isn't about money. There's ways of preparing in different ways based on the kind of resources you got. You have to figure out what level of resource. Like if we are a small country and we don't have the kind of money that China's got or other people have, we have to use our resources to create our own weapons, even if we're a small little country. You have to think about it that way. You're a startup country. Protect your family. How do you do it? You have to do a little bit of research, a little bit of studying for yourself. And to find out if that were to happen, do you have a small generator? Do you have certain things set aside? What method of payment will you use if you don't have any cash, or if you don't have, what other things do you have to protect your family? I do believe it is something worth talking about with your family to be prepared for this, because I think something like this is going to happen next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And by the way, I do believe it's going to be worse than COVID, because at least with COVID, you can stay home and still communicate with others. With this, you stay home. Your internet, security, gate, lights, it's mayhem. Everything's gone, so what do? You just got to be prepared for it. And if it doesn't happen, better. You know, if it never happens, awesome. But at least you were prepared for worst case scenario. My concern is, how deep is our military? Like, you think Joe Biden's military is ready for this?
Hell no.
I have no idea, but I tell you, the next president, whoever it is, this has got to be a topic of discussion to make some major investments into this to make sure the American people are protected.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.